The Southwest DuBois School Corporation introduced its 2014 budget at last night's meeting, an update on the ongoing construction of the new Memorial Hospital in Perry County, and Inform featuring Ashley Niehaus and Jessica Lindauer talking about QR codes. All of that and much more is up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, last night the Southwest DuBois School Corporation introduced the district's proposed 2014 budget. School officials are foreseeing the final tax rate for the school budget to nearly match the $1.19 per $100 of assessed value that was given by the state last year. This year's budget was put together while figuring an estimated assessed value of $275 million for the district, which is the same as the 2013 amount. Mike Eineman, who took over as the Southwest Corporation's superintendent succeeding Terry Inlow back in April, says his first experience preparing a budget was a smooth process thanks to a lot of help and advice from some friends.
When you go through it the first time, it was probably a little scary, just because you're not sure what you really need to do. I had lots of good help, the other administrators, the other superintendents in the county. Mr. Inlow helped me out, and then it is a process that you have to go through. But we are not adopting the exact budget from last year, but are proposing for it. But it's very similar, and you hope to get as much as you can, but we put in there feeling what we'll get. And, they tell you advertise high and hope that you get half of what you advertise for. So.
Last night, the board also introduced the corporation's capital projects plan for the upcoming year. Eineman says the corporation plans to use dollars from the Capital Projects Fund to improve the learning and athletics environments at the schools.
We have some issues outside in the grounds. Our track facility, the track is worn down and it's got some spots in it that needs to be repaired, so we're probably going to look at that. Our tennis courts as well, we're going to look at that and see what we can best do. It's a long process with those two, or not a long process, but it is expensive, and we're going to try to budget in there for it and try to see what we can do within the next couple years at least.
The overall corporation budget for 2014 is broken down into 7 categories, including the general fund of just over $11.8 million, which is received from the state based on student enrollment. Capital projects, debt service, referendum debt, which was created in 2009 following the passage of a referendum, bus replacement, and a pension bond are the other funds in the budget. A public hearing to consider the proposed budget was held at the beginning of last night's meeting. However, no one from the public spoke at that hearing. The board plans to adopt the finalized budget after receiving official figures from the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance during the board's September 19th meeting that's set to begin at 6:30 p.m. Also last night, the board officially appointed longtime Southridge Middle School principal Al Mihalowicz as the corporation's new transportation director. Mihalowicz will succeed Chad Shank, who left the district to become transportation director of the West Clark School Corporation in Henryville. Mihalowicz has been a part of the Southwest DuBois School Corporation for the past 40 years and has spent the last 22 of those as principal at Southridge Middle School, which is a job that he will continue to hold. With his additional duties with the corporation, the board agreed to increase Mihalowicz's annual salary by $10,000. As mentioned, the 64-year-old Mihalowicz will continue to serve as principal with the assistance of 45-year-old Annette Altmeyer, who was hired as the assistant principal at last night's meeting. Mihalowicz, who has worked for the district since 1974, was hired in the lead administrative role in the middle school in 1994. He has had an assistant for only 1 year during that time. Altmeyer lives in Huntingburg and previously taught 7th grade math at Heritage Hills Middle School and algebra and geometry at Heritage Hills High School. Mike Eineman said that to save money, the corporation decided to combine duties in lieu of hiring a new assistant superintendent. He says the savings will amount to about $80,000 per school year. Finally, last night, the board congratulated all Holland students, families, staff, and community members. Holland Elementary was recently awarded initial accreditation with the North Central Association Commission on Accreditation and School Improvement. The accreditation demonstrates that students, parents, and community are focused on raising student achievement, providing a safe and enriching learning environment, as well as maintaining an efficient operation staffed by highly qualified educators. An arrest has been made in connection with a bomb threat that forced officials to evacuate both Washington High and junior high schools on Monday afternoon. Officials with the Washington Police Department say an unidentified juvenile was taken into custody Monday evening following investigation into the threat. The juvenile was a student in the Washington School District. 1,100 students were evacuated from Washington High and junior high schools on Monday afternoon at about 1:40 p.m. after a note was found which stated that there was a bomb in the building and that it was going to explode. Police swept through the high school with the aid of bomb-sniffing dogs and found nothing. The case was turned over to detectives at about 4 p.m. on Monday afternoon. At about 8:30 p.m. on Monday evening, detectives had come up with enough evidence to make the arrest. Washington Police Chief Mike Healy praised the detectives for their work on this case. He said checking through the school and talking with staff at the school helped lead detectives to the juvenile. Though the threat had ended prior to students' return to school yesterday morning, Healy says there was still an increased police presence around the buildings, and an officer was posted in the high school building throughout the day. Washington School Superintendent Dr. Dan Roach says he is very impressed with the work that the police department was able to get done in this case up to this point. He says everything was business as usual yesterday, and those in both school buildings are already moving forward from the incident. In spite of that, school administrators and police are examining how the evacuation and emergency plans worked. Healy said the school, teachers, and students handled the situation well, and Roach added that things went fairly well given the circumstances. Administrators are meeting with several school staff members and will discuss some of their observations with police. One of the key items up for review is that students left the building empty-handed and had to return later in order to retrieve keys and other such items left in their lockers. Roach says the school corporation plans to seek advice on handling those situations in the future. Healy says given what has taken place in schools across the country recently, something such as a bomb threat that may have been considered as a prank 20 years ago is no longer funny. He says the main concern moving forward will be the safety of children in schools. Detectives are currently working with the prosecutor's office on formal charges for the juvenile, and the case is still pending. Yesterday morning, the Jasper Board of Public Works and Safety opened bids for a stormwater project commonly known as the Crotal-Brown Stormwater Project. The board formally approved a bid from Huntingburg Machine Works at $101,484.75. Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz says getting this project done is an important part of fulfilling the city's responsibility to keep the waters of the Patoka River, where the water drains into, clean.
It's just probably answering one of the major drainage issues that we have. And again, fundamentally, the responsibility of water that goes in the Patoka River, which is where drainage comes from, and stormwater, is the city's. It has been granted by the state and the federal government with no funding. So they say, cities, you got to take care of what goes in the rivers going through your community, and here are the rules to follow. But too bad we don't have any money to help you do this.
There were 8 potential bidders for the project, and 6 of those submitted bids, according to city engineer Chad Herm. Also at yesterday morning's meeting, the board approved an encroachment request that it had previously rejected. The request, which had been filed by David Gilley, asked for permission to put a fence around the pool in the backyard of his 14th Street residence, which would encroach on other property in the area. The original request was denied a few weeks back due to concerns from the electric department, but that department has since changed its opinion after further examining the property, clearing the way for yesterday's decision. Seitz says reversing decisions such as this one does not happen frequently, but in this case it was necessary due to the unique nature of the property.
It is rather rare to undo a decision not to go in, but as the utilities reviewed it, I do understand their nature, having been in the property. Again, it is the fence is below trees that are already essentially encroaching, and we generally do not ask people to remove things that are there. We can do that. It's within our power to say, get that off of there. It would have to be something very egregious or that we needed to get in.
The agreement between Gilley and the city is set to be completed pending the measurement of the length of the proposed fence. months. Finally, yesterday morning, Street Commissioner Ramey Eckerly gave an update on key street projects in the city and also listed several microsurface and asphalt rejuvenating projects set to take place across the city. 6 different microsurfacing projects involving 14th Street, 15th Street, Ridgewood Lane, Daisy Lane, Gregory Lane, and St. Charles Street are set to take place across the 2nd and 3rd weeks of September, and 19 different asphalt rejuvenating projects are slated to take place. As far as street construction updates, Eckerly told the board that work on Brookstrasse has been harder than originally planned, as the heavy truck traffic that had been using the road damaged the road under the concrete worse than originally expected. The widening of Klemper Road is going well, according to Eckerly, and 15th Street patching is complete, though Eckerly sought and was granted approval to have the street closed tomorrow from 5 till 9 p.m. between Newton and Vine Streets for some touch-up work. Finally, Eckerly stated that the Liquid Road project would require 6 tanker loads of the Liquid Road solution, and that project will continue for about 2 weeks. On Monday, the Daviess County Board of Commissioners approved another agreement with the Westgate at Crane Authority. The new agreement stipulates that the Daviess County Highway Department will help develop 2 new roads through the Tech Park. Under the agreement, the Westgate at Crane Authority will provide $125,000 worth of materials, and the county will provide the labor force to extend Captain Nelson and Innovation drives. These new additions will serve as the first steps towards building a route that will serve as a direct connection between the Westgate at Crane Academy and the currently under construction Battery Innovation Center. County Highway Superintendent Phil Cornelius says the county is working with about half a mile's worth of road. He says the department is going to build as much as they can in the time that they have remaining this year. The new road project comes as a portion of a continuing push in the park that is next to Crane Naval Base to put in the necessary infrastructure to lure defense contractors and thus jobs to the area. Water and sewer services are also part of the equation, with Greene County already having a sewer district in place to serve the Tech Park, the nearby town of Scotland, and some residents in Daviess County. All of the money spent so far on road work, sewer, and water lines has become an investment that officials hope will turn in dividends of bringing more jobs to Daviess County. More than 1,250 jobs are now tied in directly with operations taking place in the Tech Park. Daviess County officials anticipate money that is spent on the projects will be repaid, and the plan is to take that money and invest it into even more development. The new developments are also expected to have an impact on Crane, which is currently the 3rd largest employer in southwestern Indiana. Construction of the new Memorial Hospital for Perry County is well ahead of schedule as it approaches a scheduled groundbreaking. Hospital President and CEO Joe Stuber says all is well so far in the construction process, even while having to overcome rainfall at times. To date, construction crews have made steady progress on leveling the ground on the site for the $32 million facility, which will be located along State Road 237. Footers have begun to be poured for the foundation, and well drilling for the new hospital's geothermal heating and cooling system is set to begin next month. The only issue to date deals with a mucky area of soil that had to be reinforced with concrete. A ceremonial groundbreaking event is tentatively scheduled for September 27th. The new facility is expected to be completed in late 2014 or early 2015, and the facility would be occupied sometime in 2015. A web camera atop a 50-foot pole at the site has been chronicling the progress of the construction. You can access the footage by going to pchospital.org and clicking on the picture at the top of the page. Coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform featuring Ashley Niehaus and Jessica Lindauer talking about QR codes. That's all up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.